Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Luis Fernandez. A group of Buddhist monks has captured the hearts and attention of folks across the country. A little more than a dozen monks from a Vietnamese Buddhist temple in Texas started their 2,300-mile Walk for Peace in late October of 2025 with the goal of journeying to Washington, D.C. Joining me now is WRAL State Government reporter Caroline Yaffa, who's covered part of that journey. Caroline, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
So let's start with Walk for Peace 101. What should people know about what this all is if they haven't heard anything about these monks?
Okay, so you touched on it a little bit, but the monks started in Texas, and they are walking completely by foot. It's a group of, I want to say, a little more than a dozen monks. You need to fact check me on that one.
18-ish is what I've seen.
Okay, good. So I was right on that. So they're making their way from Texas all the way to D.C., and it's not a protest is what they're calling it. It's just a walk for peace. So people are gathering in several different states along their journey to cheer them on, to stand in solidarity for peace, for the unity of the country. So from people I've spoken to, say tens of thousands of people have been at several different stops, and along the way, the crowds are just getting bigger.
We're talking about this group specifically right now because they are in North Carolina, and they are heading towards the Triangle. I'm fascinated to see how all of this kind of comes together. But going off of that, is there any kind of timeline about when they're going to be getting in the Triangle? Do we know anything about that?
Yeah, so they got to North Carolina a few days ago. They're taking their time, obviously, on foot.
Right.
Completely understand it. But they were actually, on Monday night, they were at the Grandover Hotel in Greensboro. So they made their way from Thomasville to the Grandover, and from 6 to 9 on Monday, they gave their peace talk. So that's what they do in certain stops. They will speak about why it's important that they're there, talk a little bit about their journey. So they're going to be making their way to the Triangle. I'm pretty sure they're staying the night on Monday and then coming here. I am expecting Friday or Saturday coming to the Triangle. No exact details on location or specific time yet. They usually have been releasing those pretty close to their arrival, but roads are closed. They get escorts, ambulance, police officers just to make sure they're safe. And some people will walk with them for some of the journey. So you'll know when they're getting close because people will definitely be talking about it.
It's definitely something that has become very popular, very widespread on social media. I mean, I was looking it up earlier. Their dog on Facebook, there's a dog that walks with them that they met in India that they've had for years. They met as a stray in India. That dog has 750,000 followers. A lot of attention on all of this. And you talked a bit about these moments that happen, that pop up. Can you describe a little bit of what we are seeing, gatherings where they're talking for hours? It's kind of amazing when you think about it.
It really is. I mean, something that brings such a divided country together just with unity is very impactful from all over the country. I think it's super special. From people I spoke to that I interviewed actually who saw this firsthand, actually described it as a once-in-a-lifetime experience, which I think really made me sit back and I was like, wow, that's amazing. This photographer from North Carolina talked about how he's videoed so many different things from mass shootings to huge parades and said that nothing has stuck with him. And he got teary-eyed during the interview like this. He said, as I mentioned, tens of thousands of people. He talked about how the monks really go up to people and really want to get to know them. They're curious about who you are. They want to try to reach as many people as possible. And I think it shows with how much support they've gotten. I haven't seen anyone, and during my interviews on the story, everybody was just talking about how they saw it from social media, how much attention they've gotten. It's pretty fascinating.
If you were watching this, by the way, we have a lot of different coverage of the monks already, their progress they've made. We've talked a little bit about, what to do if you do plan on going out to one of these gatherings, walking behind them, walking alongside them, whatever it might be. And like I said, it's garnered a lot of attention. We were actually just talking before we recorded about, where you used to work in South Carolina and the massive crowd you saw there in Columbia. There was they spoke on Monday at a baseball stadium in High Point, North Carolina. As a outside observer, what do you feel when you see something like this happening?
I mean, I kind of touched on it before, but I just feel the country coming together. I think, how often do you see a group of monks traveling thousands of miles with one goal, completely peaceful, and that just brings people together? I think it's something for me. I know I will 100% be there on Saturday or Friday at the end of the week when they come, just to see what it's like in person. I mean, witnessing it on social media is one thing, but if you have the opportunity to see it in person, why not? When are you ever going to do something like that again? I think it's really special to just, at a time in this country and world where people want peace always, but I think it's important to always have it in their resemblance of that.
And their journey, I think, has been very fascinating, right? I mean, there has been a lot of hardship for them already. Towards the very beginning of their journey, when they were still in Texas, there was an accident, a crash involving some of these monks where they were hit. One of them, I believe, had suffered some major leg injuries. So that's kind of why the number stands at 18 now, compared to, I believe, they started at around 20. If people want to do something alongside these monks, has there been any kind of guidance that you've heard, that you've received about the best way to approach this group as they're working their way through North Carolina and up into Washington, D.C.?
So from my understanding, I'm not 100% sure, but the photographer that I spoke to who followed them, he was actually on a scooter for 24 miles with them, got to know them. He was texting with the head monk, that he is what he called him, about just their journey, just checking in. And he said he built a really strong relationship and strong bond with him. But I don't know if that full access is allowed to everybody. I assume law enforcement is really looking into it and making sure that everybody's safe. But I'm not sure. I know that people can follow them at their stops. I know that it has been packed crowds, but I don't know if people have really been following them their entire journey. I assume for somebody who's not used to it, it's not exactly safe.
I've seen one of our anchors here, Ashley Rose. She made a video kind of talking about what the group has asked people to do when approaching. It's often kind of been very respectful bows. You've seen some handing of flowers and things along those lines. I think the main takeaway is give people space as they're working through. It's going to be a little almost unpredictable. I feel like when you see this massive group of people coming through, we've seen some of these large crowds form around them. Listen, I mean, when I mentioned this baseball stadium on Monday, it was almost like completely packed with people just come there to hear their message. As we wrap this up here, Caroline, or is there anything else that you want people to take away from this story as we get closer to the Triangle and North Carolina becoming part of this nationwide story?
I think something that I touched on, but I think it's really important, is the unity aspect. Not only are these monks unified and coming from Texas, stopping in several different states to go to D.C., but they're also unifying everybody around them in these different cities, in these different states. People are bringing food. They're opening up their homes. They're giving them, some of them are now wearing shoes because they had to bring in medical assistance because their feet were hurting and were in bad shape. I think it just shows the amount of people it's touched along the way, the fact that people are opening up their homes, giving resources, and just spending time out of their day to go to see them and spending hours getting there super early. It just shows the country just coming together. I think that is the premise of it. And through social media videos, when you see these clips, so many people are in the background. I think that it says it all.
That is state government reporter Caroline Yaffa covering these Vietnamese Buddhist monks making their way through North Carolina. Caroline, thank you so much. I'm Luis Fernandez. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Now, throughout the course of the week with these monks, WRAL will have you covered on all the latest timelines, where it's going to be happening, events, things like that. We'll do our best. Weather, something to keep an eye out for this weekend as they make their way through. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email, the Triangle News events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.